You're listening to Time In with yours truly, Tommy Crenshaw. With me, as always, the magical Ricardo Lucas.
They say I got magic in this voice of mine. I don't know. That's what people tell me, Tommy. That's what people tell me.
You've got magic in that voice and magic in those hands with the dart throwing that you do. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but every time I see you, we're out in public, we got to go through darts. You want to throw darts? I say, let's go through darts. Let's throw darts. And I'm telling you, they need to reinvent a dartboard that has smaller bullseyes. Because you, my friend, are just, you should be on the pro circuit.
Well, I thought about going pro, but sometimes when you go pro, there's so much pressure. I don't need that pressure. I like doing it for fun. I just like the way it feels. And yes, I do carry my own darts with me and stuff like that, but it's all about fun. That's what it's about. I'm not looking out here to hustle nobody. I'm not looking out here to make money. It's just fun for me. It makes my heart feel good, hitting them bullseyes like wham, bam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let me ask you something. As a dart connoisseur, is some people would say that you are. What do you think about the axe throwing? Because the axe throwing, it seems like they're just copying the darts and trying to be more tougher. Like they're just saying, oh yeah, like it's like football. Football looked at soccer and said, we're going to be tougher than you, and they are. And then rugby said, wait, hang on, they raised their hand. I still think football, they got the pads, is tougher because they play a lot more games. They have guys that are playing for the team for a lot longer than they are rugby. I mean, those guys get knocked out a couple of times and they don't want to come back to play. I mean, not all of them. I know they got some studs and some superstars. I'm not going to, those guys are phenomenal athletes. But I'm talking about the middle of the pack kind of guys. Middle of the pack NFL player is going to be playing for 10, 15 years.
Definitely.
It's the scrubs that ruin it and say that you're going to have a 2 or 3 year career.
I respect the axe throwers. I've done some axe throwing, and people don't like me to go axe throwing because, I have the same skills of throwing an axe that I do with a dart, and people don't like me to come because then they can't be, as good around their friends. And I understand that you won't show out, you also want to show out that, me, Ricardo, but you also want to show out with your axe throwing skills. And when I get in there, I lay it down. That's what I do. I can't help that, but, it's soccer, like you brought up soccer and, American football, it's, one seems, a little bit more tougher, more people get hurt, you got in the trenches, and soccer's insanely popular, in Europe and, basically every country except for, the U.S. and Canada,
Yeah, that's
basically,
right. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and Puerto Rico doesn't play that much either, but that's part of the United States, so.
Exactly, but I mean, insanely popular. I mean, it has been insanely popular for centuries. It's ingrained. It's ingrained like football's ingrained in our hearts and souls and stuff over here. But I don't know. Soccer. I don't think soccer will truly. I don't think it's going to be able to beat the top three. It's not going to be able to beat basketball, baseball, or football. Definitely not football. It's just not violent enough. It's not violent enough. If people don't want something, kind of violent, they want something pseudo violent, they'll go watch basketball. Somebody's going to get elbowed in the nose here and there. That's just the way it goes. It's just not violent enough for the American diet. So I think soccer, it just won't be that big here,
No, I think you're right. I think the field's too big. I mean, the field
is big field. It's a big field.
It's just way too big, and then the fact that you've got low scoring games. I mean, we're only going to put up with one sport with low scoring games, and that's baseball. Hockey, I get to pass sometimes because of the toughness and all that stuff. And
they ain't afraid to swing on somebody in hockey. That's one reason I likes it.
That's the reason why most people like it. They're tough guys. They're bruisers. They're scrappers. They're to cause some ruckus. So it's people think Canadians are all polite. They are until you give them like a 6 pack of Canadian beer and some ice skates, and then they're ready to brawl.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And soccer. Oh yeah, I enjoy soccer. I mean, I've watched a game or two. I've my my little cousins and my my sons and whatnot. When they were little, they you always signed up the little kids for the soccer. It's a good team building, sports and stuff. Just like you do with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't think most Americans think about soccer. Past that. It's not,
No,
I mean, some kids, they play in high school, but some people are on the swim team in high school too. So
well, yeah, it is too, and it's a small market sport, and like I
yeah,
said,
yep,
you're doing low scoring. Well, that's already taken care of in the U.S. because of the baseball low scores, and now small market is taken up by the NBA. They got the small markets. They're the ones that could dominate. And it's the same thing with the college, NCAA. You got your small schools that are sometimes some of the best. So your Creightons, your Gonzagas, your Wake Forest, these guys, there's St. Mary's. Every tell me what St. Mary's is, I just tell you they play a mean basketball game.
yeah.
So,
I have no idea where they're
yeah,
at.
yeah. I mean, half the time you hear these, you're like, yeah, they're great. Most people don't know where Gonzaga is. And they're practically in Canada. So so I think that soccer, what it does, you got these small, like the Netherlands, they're good. Even Germany is not that big compared to some of the other bigger countries. Well, your biggest countries, you got like Russia is your biggest country, Canada is your second biggest, and the third is the United States. I think the fourth might be either Australia or Brazil. I mean, Brazil is exception to the rule. You're going to have one that's big that's going to be playing, but by and large, your bigger countries, China's not that great. Yeah, that's another big country. So you're basically a small market, and your big guys, except for the women's. The women's team. I mean, you saw what they did recently in the U.S. I mean okay. So they're like, if you do it in reverse, it's like an NCAA, like a small NCAA team. It's like a Wofford. The Wofford Terriers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're playing in the FCS. It's like them coming up to the BCS and beating Alabama and Ohio State. That's what the
Oh, yeah.
women's U.S. soccer team did, and that shocked the world.
Exactly, exactly. And and I don't think they get enough credit. Once again, not the biggest soccer fan, but the women's team, they went out there and they showed what America could do. The guys team could learn a lot from them. They need to step up the game. I mean, if you want the U.S. to really be behind you, we need both sets of teams. We need both sets of teams. We need, just the highest level they can go. We need to be at, if nothing else, the U.S. likes to beat up on other countries. I'm sorry. That's just what happens. You go to the Olympics, you go to, the World Games, you go to, the soccer, the FIFA Cup thing there. We don't get to beat up like we do in the other sports. So once we get to the level where we can beat up on the other countries, I think that's one of your main things. U.S. likes to beat up on other countries.
Well,
It just is.
and yeah, you know what I think that what's going on there, and I don't want to sound like a tinfoil hat kind of person, but I think that there's probably some outside espionage and foreign interference that prevents us. Because if we dominate soccer, it's kind of like then we're going to dominate everything. We're going to dominate. I mean, what sport is the U.S. going to be bad at? U.S. has to be bad at one sport, or else the world's going to come and gang up and come and invade us. I mean, they'll just all do that. I mean, that's how crazy sports fans are. We say, okay,
Oh yeah.
we're going to give you this one, world. But the women's one said, you know what? We're not going to play by this. We're going to test it out. We're going to threaten you a little bit, give you a little taste of it. So
Exactly. Exactly.
and until the whole world starts playing like wiffle ball or something like that, it's. I mean, what are you going to do with this? But going back to the field being so big, I think the field. People don't realize the field being so big. This sport goes back hundred and something years, and this is back when it was like a gentleman's thing, and you didn't have all the fans. So you could kick it across the field, and the guys you got past the defender, they didn't see where it was going before you had the goalie. They call it the goalkeeper in other countries. But they would say, "Yeah, we got one." You had to believe them that they got one. If not, you challenged them. When you challenged somebody back then, they pulled out a Derringer, and it was they were going to shoot you dead cold and call it a duel, and they get away with it because everyone got away with murder like 100 years ago. So soccer was one of those sports where you could do that. You couldn't try that if you played that on a football here in the U.S. You get your bell rung. You try to say you scored, you didn't. So I think it was a game. I think it was a game that was invented on cheating.
You know, and lots of those clubs, like the fans of the teams over there, like on field, things aren't as violent, but when it comes to the fans, oh man, the fans are super violent. I mean, no disrespect, but some of those hooligans, those soccer hooligans in the other countries and stuff like that, you can't have that in the U.S. That's the side of the violence that you can't have because in the U.S. we like our guns a little bit too much.
Oh yeah.
So you got people that are just shooting each other in the head. Just over a soccer match. You don't need that. I mean, I've seen people getting beat up because somebody missed a 3-pointer. But you introduce guns in that, and then roving basically gangs of fans. You can't have that. It's just like when you have those riots every once in a while when your team wins. But just think about the riots you have when your team loses. And then just guns and people being shot all over the place.
Yeah,
we can't have that.
I mean, seriously, you make a good point, Ricardo. I mean, that's you look at rivalries in the U.S. and things do get a little brutal at times.
Oh yeah.
The Giants and the Dodgers in baseball. There's been some serious issues in parking lots, and guys, it's just there's been some horrible crimes committed. Yankees and the Red Sox, there's been some. I don't know how it's got as bad as the West Coast, which everyone thinks the East Coast. East Coast, they'll beat your brains out. The West Coast, they'll just flat out kill you. The booing of Santa Claus and throwing rocks and snowballs at people, and women that won't do so. It just. But you go down to like Buenos Aires, and they got there's a stadium not far from there where they got to put cages or fencing rather that divided the stadium in half. That way, when the rivals play, and they had got a security and the rivals, and I heard they got dogs and guns and whatever they got. It's because if somebody makes it across the other side of the fence, they're dead. I mean, it's just that people are that passionate because that's the only sport. If you take in the United States, you take college football. Say you got your SEC fans, you got your Big Ten fans. You got your Packs. Those crazy fans, and then you say, okay, you don't have college football anymore. And so they go to their own sports. They go to the baseball, the basketball, they go to other things. And you take those sports away. And you say, okay, now you got one sport. Guess what? All that anger, that rage that built up when your boss is yelling at you, your wife says you didn't pick up that gallon of cheese that you were supposed to pick up, the night before, that she could make her broccoli sandwiches. But yeah, you're frustrated, and now you're not going to take this out on your wife. You're not going to take it on your boss. You don't want to lose your marriage, go to jail, lose your job. But some guy that's got a funny shaped head that's wearing the wrong colors on his hat. It's something about him. You want to punch him in the face, and you might punch him a little too hard, and then his head hits it. And all it's just that's why this stuff gets so brutal. Is people need this release. So yeah, I don't think soccer. I don't hate soccer. I mean, we saw it wasn't that long ago that guy for one of the English teams. He was a goalie, and he knocked that goal in late in the game with his head. He did that weird head spin. What they call it a header. And it was a phenomenal. I'm like, wow, if they just did that all the game, I mean, everybody watched. But those guys could be brain dead in about 2 years.
Definitely. But hey, you heard it here first, folks. Tommy Crenshaw says that, hey, if soccer's the only sport in the U.S., thousands will die.
Millions.
Millions will die.
Millions would die if soccer was the only sport in the U.S. Millions would die each year. There's no doubt.
I do not disagree, Tommy. Do not disagree.
That's a fact, and you can put a feather in that fact.
And that's the end of the game. Thanks for tuning in to Time In. I'm Ricardo Lungus, TTFN.